Hello there, Callum Johns here, and welcome to the EU in Review, where I review the Star Wars Expanded Universe as I experience it. Today I'm going to continue with the classic Marvel Star Wars run, as I've been doing. I've read a bunch of these, and I've got all these lined up to record, so you get these in between the gaming videos, or however I'm doing it. Anyway, today will be issues 53 to 54. It's one storyline, which is an interesting one. So I'll start with issue 53. It's written by Chris Claremont and illustrated by Callum Infantino and Walt Simonson. So first off, it says Alderaan is the bright centre of the universe. And I like how that goes back to Luke's dialogue in A New Hope saying, if there's a bright centre to the universe, it's the planet farthest from. It's nice. And on a poster in the background, they actually had Alderaan pre-Holocaust. They won't get away with that now because Holocaust has too much of a stigma around it. But they actually have that in the background in the comic there. And yes, I'm mentioning it on YouTube, so better be careful. But it's in reference to before Alderaan was blown up. There's the first appearance of the Shiva system, which is nice. First appearances of all these different things, but unfortunately a lot of them aren't taken up later, to be expected. Oh well. The prologue seems to be more like a flashback to the movie regarding Alderaan, and just Leia going back to her thoughts going, oh, this is what happened when Alderaan blew up. Okay. And so here begins the storyline of Stranger Among Us, which is a fairly long prologue, I thought, but it's a lead into Leia's emotional state as she goes into this, which is good to see. It's interesting that the species there has their own language that Leia can't understand, but it's weird reading this as both are written in English in the comic, but there will be different languages, but we both read them in English, so it looks like they should be understanding each other, but they don't. Of course, we want to be understanding what they're saying, so they do that. Translator comp apparently is a translator computer. Could come up with a better name for it though. And I think it's interesting that the narration seems to be from Aaron, one of the natives, and his point of view, rather than being more of an objective third person sort of point of view. It actually gives a point of view of one of the natives when he finds Leia crashed on the planet. That's cool. Art for Leia is weird in this issue. It sort of is inconsistent and she looks weird in some panels. And I don't know why the art is suddenly painted in a pink light, but hey. The natives seem to have pink skin, so that might be just to add to that. There's a nice allusion to sex in there, so then, as always, they're not shying away from the bigger things. Yeah. Aaron has a pet crocodile though. Afterwards it shows that he goes whine. It's almost as if he whines because he could see what was happening and he doesn't have someone for himself. He could create a short story about that crocodile and the lonely life he led. That would be interesting. Oh, he has a pet crocodile anyway, it's fine. Leia gets a good makeup here. She gets a nice dress, which is pretty. I like the dress. And the captivation with Leia seems to be a recurring theme in the EU. Aaron is captivated with her, as was Shizor and Trioculus, and then even later Princess Order. But hey, I guess that's one of the things, you gotta have the female lead character going and being captivating for everyone and being beautiful. We love Carrie Fisher and we love Leia, don't we? So, we're not going to complain about that too much, other than some of them go way too overboard with the creep factor. Oh, I guess they're in character, so that works. Delwan nearly forcing himself on Leia is interesting. It's more subtle than some of the previous examples I just mentioned before, but it's still there. There's still that part of the story where a male's trying to force himself into the female. seems to be a recurring thing in these early comics that they have some of these older things, like their social issues that are meant to be dealt with, and so they're doing it in a way that just serves the story well, doesn't feel shoehorned in for anything, and the story's still great, which is good. They have giant stormtroopers apparently, still laying away, which I don't know why, and he thinks of them as giant. Must have had too much to drink at that party or something. Must be a matter of perspective, because the narration says giant stormtroopers, so it may have been that the stormtroopers are giants in the eyes of Aaron. And I like how it goes through Leia's grief process for Alderaan in this, and it's actually showing her dealing with the grief. And I'm confused how much time really passed in this issue, because it seems to take ages. Then we go on to issue 54, written by Callum again, and illustrated by Callum and Cantina and White Tomlinson. And it answers a question I asked at the end of the last issue. Apparently it's weeks ago that Leia came, so I don't know how long exactly, but it must be at least a few weeks. And that's a decent chunk of time in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, since it was only about 6 months. Leia is bound as she was captured, just like a classic damsel in distress. And Delaware being a traitor is a nice twist, and I like that, because being the traitor and him trying to push himself on Leia earlier lines up with being the bad guy figure. Like the Imperial in an earlier issue trying to force himself onto Leia, Delaware was a bit more subtle, but he was still trying to do it. So it's cool to see this little trend with the Imperials there and the traitors, the bad guy figures. It mentions Leia learned how to fly a spacecraft even better from Luke, which is interesting, because you'd think she would have learned a bit more from Han, but Luke being the pilot that flew against the Death Star, I guess she learned from him, and she would have been with him more through adventures. There's a good view in the later panel for Leia gets a new outfit when she's captured, of course, because you're not going to have the exact same outfit. It's a bit torn and whatnot. It looks cool. I like how they change up her clothing. It's good. Aaron and Leia seem to be a bit overpowered, taking down, as the narration says, what seem like an endless horde of enemies. It's cool to see, but they're a bit overpowered. It's not really realistic. So what seems like an endless horde of enemies would probably be more like 10 or 20. That would be more realistic. Leia's face in the panel is weird again. It's just Leia sends Delaware, and that is with the Force. So even early on here now, they show that Leia can actually use the Force. Little bits as it goes. And it's just before Return of the Jedi as well, so it's cool to see. Luke appearing seems a bit random. I mean, he sort of appears out of nowhere, so I go, where's his side of the story? What was he up to? They're sort of given the explanation with a little blasé about it, like, hey, I'm just here. Anyway. Lando wields 2 blasters, which is cool to see. It's interesting to note, considering later material also has him with 2 blasters, but it's in his classic outfit with 2 blasters. Looks cool. And I love how Chewie just throws a gun mount at the ship. So, Chewie is just awesome. They do him fantastically with these. Oh, you need to take down a ship? Just throw a huge piece of metal at it. You need to blow up a generator, throw a stormtrooper at it. That's awesome. I like that aspect of Chewie. Aaron loving Leia is an interesting concept on it, but I like how he accepts it and moves on, because he already has a wife and children and that. And so he moves on with his life and knows that he's got to do what he has to do. Make the right decision. It's good. And there's different outfits for Luke and Leia at the end of this, which is nice to see. Lando is a player. Nudge, you know what I mean. And 3PO, oh, I thought this was really funny. He does a point like, oh, you probably can't see it, you can go back here, like that. And it's like, objection! Like, what's his name? Phoenix Wright. That's funny. I made a meme out of it. probably put that up as I do that. Luke's trick with the black hole is called slingshotting around and then the Star Destroyer becoming too close and being trapped and disintegrated. It's cool. It says layer radioed Aaron, which is older technology, so possibly the world of Shiva 4, I believe it was Shiva 4, has older technology that they actually need to use a radio and not different comm units. This is a still storyline. Whoa, yeah. This is a cool storyline once you get into it. The writing is nice and really adds to the story. I don't know if it really needed to be Star Wars though. It feels like it could just be a storyline that could be used for any like superhero sort of thing. It fits into Star Wars, which is nice, especially since it's the old classic Star Wars run, and it doesn't contradict anything that I'm aware of other than the timing. But hey, it's really fun. Get into it. So, what do you think of this storyline? I thought it was really interesting. I thought they'd put some good ideas into place, and it's cool. I didn't mention the bad guys as much, but other than giant stormtroopers, but yeah, everything was pretty well written as far as my experience with comics is. And yeah, had good fun with it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching it. Hope you enjoyed listening to my thoughts on this. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.